Keep Right with Ralph K. Ginorio. Feminism's worst crime. There are those who will state that I, a man, have no standing to speak definitively about abortion. They will argue that only a woman can authoritatively speak about matters of reproduction. Such an opinion is inherently bigoted, asserting that birth characteristics determine a person's identity. I refuse these claims. I'm a human being, speaking about humanity, and a practice that since Roe v. Wade 1973 has, in the United States alone, killed more people than Hitler, Stalin, and Mao Zedong combined. Every genocidal ideology dehumanizes their victims. Slaves are not citizens. Capitalists are not proletarians. Jews are not Germans. And babies are not adults. Therefore, they have no status as people. Word games cannot justify inhumanity. Abortion is not just about the mother or the father. It is even more about the child. 1. Feminism. Quote, "Feminism is about giving women fair opportunities," unquote. So spoke a young woman of my acquaintance who was embarking on her first year teaching high school English to her students. Would that this were so. Sadly, nothing could be further from the truth. Most who call themselves feminists understand it, as did that former colleague. Not so those who make and shape feminist thought. Today's 4 waves of feminism comprise merely one particularly effective variant within a constellation of related Marxist ideologies. At their core, they all stoke implacable outrage by deeming countless types of people as being born victims. Outrage is based upon a utopian assertion that any society that falls short of their theoretical perfection is profoundly evil, worthy of nothing less than utter destruction. In these Marxian systems, only the leftist ideology in question can reveal the truth about just how unjustly the victim group has been treated. Only the leftist party understands the ideology well enough to employ it to achieve fundamental change. Only the party's leadership can interpret leftist scriptural texts so as to bring about the end of our evolved imperfections and inaugurate their materialist millennium. To a believing leftist, the organized party is as indispensable to salvation as the church is to a devout Christian. To be a communist is to totally surrender one's personal judgment to that of the party, as it is for feminists, environmentalists, and race-based activists today. So it was for German National Socialists nearly a century ago. The seminal philosopher of totalitarianism, Hannah Arendt, asserted that it was precisely this surrender of one's own mind to the will of the party that transformed a mediocrity like Adolf Eichmann into the most instrumental organizer of the final solution to the Jewish question. No one should question the effectiveness of such submission. What feminism is to its truest believers is nothing less than an alternative explanation for everything that is, was, or ever shall be. Instead of relying upon individual conscience, personal experience, or traditional ways of being, feminist ideologues claim a certainty that is too fervently all-encompassing to be rooted in mere reason. Instead, a narrow and thoroughly policed lens of orthodoxy is applied to every analysis, where nothing will be left unexplained. Now, this seems paradoxical. The intellectual life of feminists, like all other Marxian leftists, is filled with what seems to be intense debate and open questioning of everything and anything. However, this heterodox surface belies the lockstep conformity beneath. For feminists, in these debates, nothing is abided which seriously questions the fundamental assertion that there is a global patriarchic conspiracy which has kept women submissive, dependent, and exposed to the most intimate forms of oppression. Nor is it debatable that all females everywhere and anywhere must make common cause against this patriarchy. Today, across the West, the influence of feminism is total. Academic high culture, the advertising industry, and corporate popular culture have all been captured by Marxists, feminists, race-based activists, and their fellow travelers. Their one common objective is nothing less than the destruction of Western civilization and its replacement by their utopia. With this growing power, feminists have undermined the healthy development of impressionable boys and innocent girls. They have redefined love, dating, and marriage into raw power politics. Males are shamed as being inherently oppressive. Females are told that they must avenge their maternal ancestors by becoming driven careerists. 2. Feminism's worst crime. Quote, Massachusetts is affirming again that abortion is essential health care and that politicians should never stand between a patient and their doctor. The significance of this law goes far beyond our state borders. Unquote. Claire Tayluni, Executive Director of Reproductive Equity Now. The most profound of feminist achievements is their corruption of the strong maternal instinct into a desperate self-preservation. The latter proof of this happened in Massachusetts with an office filled with female politicians. There, Governor Maura Healey signed into law a state abortion law that would permit anyone to legally terminate their child at any time before it passed through the birth canal to be born. These females joyously celebrated their new freedom to, for any reason, end the life of a defenseless human being. Late-term abortion is nothing less than the murder of a fully developed human infant. Nothing is more obscene or abominable. Feminists did this. Never forget that. They are now a death cult, akin to the ancient cults of Baal and Moloch, who threw children en masse into the fire as human sacrifices. We must reevaluate feminism, separating any good that it once might have done from its psychopathic present. We must make their murderous narcissism as odious as we have made the dreams of the Nazis and the Klan. No legitimate human right can ever be protected by the outright destruction of other human beings. The freedom of women cannot ever be secured by the mass murder of children. When one person's dignity is abused, all of us are threatened. If people of goodwill do not absolutely reject this law and the anti-humane feminism that produced it, then divine providence, whether in the form of an angry God or the inescapable realization within our own shared consciences or our own individual consciences, that we are no longer worth saving, this divine providence will rightly visit a well-deserved justice upon us all. If we do not purge ourselves of such an evil as child sacrifice on the blood altar of self-fulfillment and female empowerment, then we reveal our shared culture as being irredeemably depraved and in need of erasure. This is one of the darkest columns I've ever had to write. I'm speaking it here. But it's because even the defenders of legal abortion, on demand and safe in a hospital, even most of them will not stomach late-term abortion. Even those who are willing to blur the line between a conceived human being and a born human being have difficulty accepting or justifying the murder of infants fully developed in the womb. Find a way to communicate this if you feel the same way that I do. Find a way to awaken society to this threat that, like the anti-Semitism stoked in Nazi Germany can be nothing less than a harbinger of doom. God bless.